Yes.
You were able to come over by yourself.
Good afternoon, Parks and Open Space and Lanes Committee and anybody attending. Shall I start off the meeting with the roll call? Why don't I? Okay. So I'll read our nameplates out left to right. Nicholas Markman. Charlie Harrington.
Present.
Jenna Watson.
Present.
Jean Borden. And Kathy Pearson. All right, thank you. And I will hand it right over to Chair Jenna Watson for comments.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the summer edition of the Parks, Open Spaces and Lanes Committee meeting. I wanted to hope that everyone had a great summer and is still having a very warm summer. I first wanted to give a very warm welcome, warm indeed, to the newest member of our committee, Charlie Harrington. Charlie is a new-ish member of our Belvedere community, and he's already become very active in our community, leading the Lanes Run, among other things. And I just wanted to give a very warm welcome to Charlie. Thanks so much for.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for allowing me to participate on this committee. I'm very excited to learn from everyone here, see how I can contribute. One of the things I was thinking, I'm a history major, and I'm excited to really try to put that to use for the first time, because I think Belvedere has a rich history of protecting its public spaces, and I am very eager to contribute to that. So yeah, I organized a fun race around all the stairs. I mentioned I missed a couple on Corinthian, so I won't make that mistake again. And I'm looking forward to more activities like that and finding ways to make Belvedere really fun to be outside in. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks so much. So we have we have fewer meetings per year now as of 2022, and so we have a jam-packed agenda today. So I didn't want to make my remarks very long. Why don't we kick things off, unless anyone else here has any beginning remarks? Tony, with your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I omitted to mention that we should approve the minutes of the April 19th regular meeting. So maybe after I've done my report, we can do it then.
Great, thank you. We can do that.
All right. So Public Works has been busy as usual with parks and landscape maintenance. Vegetation trimming in right-of-ways and lanes that started in the spring has been completed. And that's with a contracting crew as well as our own crew working at that. With the late rains, we actually had to go out there a couple of times. Every time we thought we'd got the weeds for the summer, then it would rain again and we'd have more to cut back. But we got there. Chipper days. We ran that through the month of June, as is tradition. And this year we had 96 yards of brush and debris that were removed by our crews from property owners and residents who brought down their brush and debris to the side of the street for our crews to pick up. You may have noticed San Rafael Avenue seawall landscape had some bark mulch that was installed along there. That took a couple of days, and kind of here and there was a bit of traffic delay, but we got it completed in the end. Irrigation becomes an issue at this time of year, as I'm sure anybody with a garden knows. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a minor crisis. We have a well that we use for irrigation at Tom Price Park and also Community Park. And the pump went down. Luckily, we were able to get a well company out, and they replaced the pump completely without any damage to turf at either one of the parks. We had a little project at the basketball court where we resurfaced the court. And if I'm able to just show a couple of pictures from that. I will do that right now.
I don't know if mine is. The big black button on the side. Oops, no, that's not it. In your Zoom. Maybe it's the top button. No. Oh, it's the top button. Just go down to the bottom and share.
Thank you. All right, great.
And you have to. Oh, let's see, it's, oh, I don't know what that is. This is nice to have.
All right, so this isn't what it looked, quite what the basketball court looked like before. This is after a repair had been done because of root damage that was coming from those pear trees in the parking lot. Coming into the courts, there were some raised areas that so we excavated the roots. Luckily, we didn't have to cut or damage any of the roots. There was enough gravel that they were pushing up underneath the paving. So we removed the gravel and then put a patch back over it. And then ground down where you can see a crack at the bottom right-hand corner of the picture there. We ground down the surface of the court over there, and then came in and did a resurface the whole court with sealing the cracks. And as you can see, painted it and relined it.
Oh,
And
nice.
that was, so that was our project for the summer, for the early summer that we got done, which was great. There are two announcements. In the last few meetings, I've been talking about SB 1383, which is the new law that
The compost.
yes, the composting law that brings all sorts of requirements to cities, one of which was a procurement requirement where we had to buy 100 yards of compost a year. We've been in communication with the county, and they have developed a program that will cover the procurement requirements for all of the cities in Marin, and they'll be providing compost to wine growers, grape growers, and agriculture in general in Marin, using the procurement requirement from each city. So, so we're no longer going to be putting compost down on all our turf areas as was expected.
Oh, that's magnificent. That is really, really good that we don't have to find places for compost.
Agreed. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we were kind of scratching our heads with what to do with all this compost.
But our collection through the normal Mill Valley Refuse Service, that counts towards that covers our collection requirement under the law, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So compost material from homes will be collected by Mill Valley Refuse in the green yard waste bins. So yes, and that's there'll be enforcement and so on. More focused, I think, on commercial, like the yacht club and places, stores that have food processing facilities. So the residents probably won't be dealing too much with that. But yeah, that's the other side of it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And then last announcement is that Coastal Cleanup Day 2023 will be happening across California on Saturday, September the 23rd. In Belvedere, there will be a group cleanup along San Rafael Avenue seawall. The group organizers for this event are Adam Gabza and James Campbell, and they'll be meeting volunteers at the corner of San Rafael Avenue and West Shore Road at 9 a.m. on Saturday, September the 23rd. They expect to be finished around 11 a.m. Wear sturdy work shoes and bring work gloves if you have them. And if you would like any more details, you're welcome to contact me or Adam if you have his details. I don't have them in front of me, but yeah.
And I just want to say for the record that this is a fantastic volunteer opportunity for anyone who has children who are either in middle school or high school, especially if they have a community service requirement for their school. This checks off 2 of your 10 hours, so it's perfect.
Nice. Yeah. And that's it from me, for my report. Should we go ahead and approve the minutes of the April 19th meeting?
Jean, did you have any comments?
No, I didn't.
You-
this time.
Yep,
Well-
sorry, I
well
should have
done-
asked if there are any questions.
Well done, Christina. Jean always has comments.
Oh,
I
on
did
the
have-
minutes, right, okay.
Tony, I had one thought with the basketball. First of all, that looks amazing. Very excited about that. I was slightly confused for the weeks where it was ground down and it almost looked like there was a tractor. So without having the context of this or the minutes or anything, is there any way, was a sign put up to explain people what might have been happening there?
In hindsight, that's definitely what we should have done. It's just some way of letting folks know that, this is not what it's going to look like forever. It took a while to pin down the contractor who was doing the resurfacing, and we got them out as quickly as we could, but it was a little longer than expected. So we were expecting within a week to 2 weeks to have the whole thing done, but it ended up going on, I think, for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, absolutely. In future, we're keep that in mind.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I will second your motion. Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes of April 19th?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right. Great. All right. So moving on to number 4, the reappointment of the committee members and appointment of the new member, Charlie Harrington. I've already touched on our newest member. Thank you, Charlie, again for serving on our committee. In July, both Mr. Markman, Ms. Pierce, and Ms. Borden and myself were all reappointed by the city council. So I want to say thank you all for re-upping with me.
Happens in my final.
We'll see about that.
I think there's some sort of rule.
I know.
Kathy and I have been on this for quite close.
Very close.
Probably a decade.
3 years at a time, almost. nine.
Close.
Yes. So,
Anyway,
well, thank you.
so, but I was just mentioning that if you know people.
Who were interested.
Mhm. I'm looking over here at the young blood.
Yeah, right there.
We have 4 years to find.
No, just one.
Oh, one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we,
Yes. Yeah, we have rolling term.
Rolling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we've rolled over.
I know, it feels like a long
okay.
time.
Now I'm really ready.
Well, there's still a couple of meetings to go before we
Exactly.
get to
of us.
that point.
Yes, not dead yet. All right. Okay, and then we have a couple of updates in terms of upgrades to our recreational facilities. I'm actually going to begin with the, Oh, sure.
It also says committees, because the committees got kind of confused.
oh, yes, with the,
People left.
yeah, with the new charters.
And I think basically we have one for Park Lane, which I think is important so that 2 committee members can be on site when Tony has somebody there. I know you were on it.
Yes, I was on Park Lane, and I believe it
Mine
was,
and Brian was someone.
no, I actually think it was Anne Marie.
What I-
Yes.
but
Okay,
I think
so,
Centennial- but
yeah,
I'm
so this-
confused by Centennial Park, not much is happening, so I don't know.
well, I think we'll get into some of budget discussions where there hasn't been any amounts were specially allocated to Centennial Park. I think that other than the stairs, which we're still working on.
Chair, sorry, we've just had a request for people to make sure their microphones are on when they're speaking.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that was me. I was mentioning that I thought we should reappoint a new committees and at least for Park Lane, because that's
Mhm.
ongoing. And I think it's important that Tony has somebody from our committee he can call on to come
Mhm.
when he has somebody on site or they're going to make some critical decision to move the project forward.
Right, right.
So maybe one of our new persons would serve with you if you want to keep doing it, Jenna.
So the answer is I will absolutely join this. I guess the question is, are there different committees for each project, or is it broken down into lanes? There's an open spaces committee, there's a parks. How does that work?
It varies, but the last time around it was for projects. We had one for Centennial Park, but that's kind of on hold.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're looking for someone for Park Lane.
Yeah.
Park Lane.
Okay. And that would be Tony meeting with you on some basis?
Yeah, I think what it might look like is when we have some kind of action going on, that I would keep you in the loop and invite you to any, if we're doing a site visit at all, invite you to join.
Okay.
And I guess I've worked with Chair Watson in a similar way, but when there are questions or small decisions that need to be made that that relate to a project, discuss with the liaison.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great, yeah.
Great, excellent.
Okay.
All right, so we will be the Park Lane Subcommittee.
Perfect.
All right. Do we think we need, I'm sorry, do we need other subcommittees? Just trying to think. I don't really think we have, in terms of active projects.
One possibility might be, and I don't want to create too many subcommittees, but trees, because tree removals are, needed from time to time, and it would be good to keep the committee informed through a liaison when that's going to happen.
I think that would be great, because in addition to trees in public spaces, to the extent that there's large trees that are going to be removed from private property, I know that's generally handled through the office here at the city, as well as the arborist that's hired by the city. But I would like to be consulted the same way that we're consulted on private construction projects that touch and affect public lands. And actually, on this point, I took a look at our charter, and it's encompassing enough to cover what I'll call, sort of.
Trees from public spaces.
Yes, exactly.
And
So,
walking down the street.
mhm, or yes,
Yeah, I think that would be,
and dead trees.
Yep.
And yes.
yep, I think that'd be constructive for sure.
So would anyone like to?
I think we should bring in our other newer member.
Yeah, happy to.
Nick?
Happy to help out, Tony.
Thank you. Yep. All right. So, tree subcommittee and Park Lane subcommittee.
I'm tempted to suggest a Lord of the Rings reference for the tree subcommittee. The ants.
The
yeah,
ants.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Ents Committee.
I haven't seen our trees move yet.
Yet.
In the last windstorm, I did see them fight back. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Very good suggestion.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Should we move on to number 5? Or we good? All right, good. All right, upgrades to recreational facilities. I wanted to start actually with the playground because I think the playground obviously is substantively complete. I know lots of kids are really enjoying it. In fact, I picked my daughter up from the swings this afternoon. She's in high school. So I think she just doesn't like to walk up the hill after school, let's be clear. And the only thing that really remains is the recognition plaque installation. At our last meeting, we approved the visuals for the design of the plaque. The committee delegated to me the approval of the color of the plaque. I got samples, and the color is going to be matching the other plaques that are present in the playground. And so I wanted to find out if you have any update in terms of the actual plan for the installation of the stone benches and the plaques in the park.
Yes, we do have an update. And for that, I'll hand over to Chris Barry, who is our associate engineer.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, so we have actually started construction on the new bench and donor plaque, recognition plaque yesterday. So they're digging, right now they're just doing outside the main entrance. They have dug the hole for the foundation of the concrete. And it's estimated about 2 weeks to complete that, probably a little less, but the contractor Cervantes has given us, it should be done in 2 weeks. So by of the 21st, 22nd of September. And we received the plaque. I have it in my office. So everything's ready to go. The contractor, he's just getting the forms ready, pouring the concrete, and then right now he's getting the stone veneer from Shamrock
Mhm.
and getting that ready to go.
Great.
And then,
So the plaque is
and then the,
plaque is done with the name. Yeah.
yeah, and then the streetlight benches, I think if you guys have been in the playground, you've seen that they've been installed. They were installed in June.
Yes.
And I think they look nice. So I think I've heard good reviews, so.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah.
And they feel good too.
Yeah.
Thank you for following up on that.
Yes,
'cause
and-
I kept getting dropped from the budget. file.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for finding money in the budget for the benches.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Fantastic. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And then the green bins, I know, I feel like we've been talking about the green bins all year, between the art contest and the actual installation of the bins and the placement of the bins, et cetera. And I think we have a guest speaker to speak with us about bins.
Yes, we do, Chair. We have Jennifer Fearon, who is with the Painted Bins organization.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm not sure if your mic's on.
Okay.
Oh, that's just the light. Sorry. It's just Christina needs to take.
Share screen thing? I mean, not share screen, that full screen. Or does it not do that on this one? Just so it's the whole screen. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, it's all right. So this picture is of the installed bins in Corte Madera Town Park. That's a triple bin, and with recycling and compost and waste. And the bin, you can see the posters on the side. So that's what the triple bins are going to look like. And I think Belvedere has 2 triple bins. Is that right in the park? Okay. And I assume, here. No, here maybe. Sorry. Well, it's not working.
Maybe it just sat too long.
So there's two bins for Belvedere, and I think they're both in Community Park, and there's a map here. This is that part's just about the students, and, you know, what we're doing. You already know about the art contest. For Belvedere, there were 128 children that participated. There were 68 posters, three schools were involved, 2 elementary schools and the middle school. Okay. And we had the art show at the library, and 150 people came, and the kids were all excited, and a lot of parents came. So it was a good community engagement event.
And we had
Caller came.
and we had a fantastic judge.
Yes, right, right. No, which one? You were the judge? No? Who was it? From this group? I was out of town. Oh, it was you. Okay, all right. Yeah, that was supposedly my job, but I wasn't here. Unfortunately, I haven't been around that much this year, but I'm back now. So the Tiburon and Belvedere unveiling is going to be this Sunday, or not this Sunday, Sunday, September 17th at 4 o'clock. I hope you can all make it. Kathy's hoping that we have a good turnout. There will be 19 posters, and between the two towns, 7 bins. Student speakers. There'll be an art tour, which will be I'll be leading, and some other volunteers will be leading to show the attendees the different works of art on the different bins, and I think the kids will be there too, so they can also talk about their artwork. And then we're going to have a recyclable art project for the children that are in attendance. So that's going to be in the Fountain Plaza. So this is the part you care about. This is the location map, and I looked at this. I'm assuming that's the playground that we're looking at. Tony, you probably can explain it better than I can, where the exact locations are.
Yep, that is close to where they are. The one at the playground is a little bit over to the right in this picture. It would be under the tree. There's a concrete area with picnic tables, and that's where we're going to remove 2 existing trash cans and replace those with one of those 3 unit receptacles. So that'll be the one location, and then the other one is on the pathway, sort of towards. There's a bench next to that gazebo, and so that's to the left of the picture, and that's where that site. It's going to be towards the bottom of that the pathway, if that makes sense.
Right. So when you go down that ramp from San Rafael Avenue down to sort of the field part of the park, the bins will be on your left when you get to the bottom of the ramp.
Correct.
So I
Yeah.
actually have a question about that, because I walk over there every day. Are the other trash cans that are on the other side going to stay there then?
You mean the ones under the trees?
Uh-huh.
No, they're not.
Okay, because it might subtract from the compliance with
Right.
the composting. Okay.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the great things. We're not going to have those wheelie bins sitting under the trees anymore, because we'll have a permanent structure there.
Great.
Are they opening towards the San Rafael Ave or towards the field?
They'll be opening towards the field. So they'll be facing, you'll be able to open them from the pathway. So as you're on the concrete path, you'll
So
face.
yeah, you're standing on the concrete opening them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. But the rear of the bins will be facing San Rafael Avenue, and those will have art on them as well. So there'll be art visible from the street.
I had a question about what people should do if those things are filled. And you mentioned that they're going to be serviced by Mill Valley Refuge. Is that, so that's once a week?
Right now, I believe they are servicing the park 4 times a week.
Okay.
So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We added Saturday this spring.
Okay, because
to
I
their-
just went to Tunnel Tops in San Francisco, and it's great, and it has similar bins, but the
I
doors
think-
get stuffed with
Mm.
doggy stuff and diapers, and it's, I'm just wondering if maybe we can put a number to call or some way to notify someone if they are stuffed, or
That's a great idea.
or just like, hey, this will be picked up on this cadence, so people can have some signal about whether or not it's going to be stuck like that a while.
Yeah,
So the hauler is very excited about this project and it's working out really well in Corte Madera. And we asked them that question before the bins were installed in Corte Madera, and there are 8 in Corte Madera Town Park, and they monitor them. So the hauler will actually probably let the town know if they need to add a day,
Okay.
a pickup day.
Cool.
They've been really great about it. And they're also tracking the, I don't know what the right word for it is,
the quantity.
the quantity. Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say the collectibles, but
Amount,
the
yeah.
quantity, and it's been quite remarkable. There's been low contamination, and I think the 8 bins there are collecting about 120 pounds of food waste a week.
Hmm.
So that, I think that might count for the city's amount they have to collect. Although Belvedere's only going to have 2 bins, so it'll be a quarter of that, but still, it's working out really well. The town's happy, the hauler's happy, the kids who did the artwork are happy.
That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions about this slide? Okay, I think that's kind of it.
One question, did you have pictures of the winning artwork that?
It's
Okay,
coming up.
so
So
that's
that's
okay.
it right there.
Oh,
So
right,
there's
right. Sorry, yeah.
6 posters on 2 triple stations. These are 3 of them. And then those are the next 3 for the Belvedere bins. And I think the Tiburons are on here too. Yeah, there's the Tiburon ones.
I know, they're great.
They're wonderful. The artwork's amazing, and the kids really do a lot of research, so it really does help to create that seed of environmental stewardship. And as one parent said, teaches critical thinking skills. And a lot of them are speaking at the unveiling, so they're also doing public speaking. Okay, that's it. Anybody have any questions? Those are also Tiburon bins. They have a few more.
Yeah, this looks wonderful. Thank you.
It's been fun. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And if I could just add to that, there'll be a ceremony on Sunday, September 17th, to sort of unveiling. And that'll be
4 o'clock.
at 4 o'clock
Mhm.
at
At the Fountain Park in Tiburon.
Fountain Park. Okay, yeah. I don't know anything about Tiburon.
Oh, it's
Only
so
know
far
Belvedere.
away. It's hard to know, It's like a whole nother state.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do share a post office, so. Jane?
I just had a question. Do we know when the Belvedere camp actually installed?
Yes, so we have the cans, they were received last week, and we have them at our courtyard. We're going to be assembling them, and right now we're working on getting concrete pads put in place for them to go on. And those will be next Thursday afternoon is when we're planning to actually put them in their places.
Late afternoon, we might have a photo opportunity.
1:30 on Thursday afternoon. Yeah.
This coming Thursday. What day is it?
Yeah.
Next week. Is the 14th.
So before the end.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so the bins will be in place without the art on them yet. And the art will be on there by Sunday. That's something that I believe Kathy is. Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm very happy that this is finally coming to fruition. So thank you. This is great. And please tell Kathy, thank you as well.
And thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
coordination.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I think it's
Team
gonna-
effort.
I think it's
Yep.
gonna be a fantastic addition to our park, and will also literally clean up some of the visual and actual mess in our park. So thank you. All right. And now we're moving on to our tennis courts, and this is the Lagoon tennis courts over right next to Tom Price Park. We have a new water bottle and filling station that we approved the design of at our last meeting. Chris, are you the one giving us an update on that, or is Tony?
Yeah, I can give you an update on the water, the drinking fountain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to let Chris do that while I find a picture of the model.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't remember, we had an absolutely ancient sort of pebble stone water fountain that was not ADA or anything else compliant, that I think had been in place since the 70s. So. Yep, there we are.
Yes, so as shown, that's the drinking fountain, the Haas drinking fountain that we have ordered. Ours will have an additional dog bowl attachment, and it'll be coming out the back end, not to interfere with ADA accessibility. And so that's been ordered, or it's actually been paid for, it's ordered and it's delivered in our courtyard right now. So we're just kind of waiting right now. We're just getting bids for the installation of there's existing drinking fountain and a small concrete pad, but we're gonna have to, just due to the ADA accessibility for each side, there's spacing requirements, so we're gonna have to enlarge that pad. So right now we're getting the bids done for that, and then so I think we're waiting on one more, and then funding was originally supposed to be from Zero Waste Marin, but actually they have reduced the funding. I think they've eliminated it or just reduced it. So right now we're seeking additional funding from the BCF to get the installation for this, for the fountain. Any questions?
Yeah, just to add to that, yeah, so I guess regarding the funding, Zero Waste Marin informed cities in Marin last month that they will be reducing the annual reimbursement amount that they usually provide. So the city used to have 26,000 available for reimbursement, and that was reduced to 16,000. And that is mostly being used being used for the trash cans. And that'll take up probably most of that, if not all that money. So this bottle filler was bought last year with Zero Waste Marin funds, reimbursed by those funds. But installation costs are now what we're looking at. And so once we've got some bids, and we're really trying to work through as many bids as possible to get the lowest possible bid, we're planning on approaching the BCF, Belvedere Community Foundation, for a grant for that installation.
All right, great. I think everyone would like the bottle, the water fountain to be in sort of what I'll call by next tennis season. So, so I think that sounds like a good plan.
Is there any way to coordinate the concrete work that's going on at the park with that, or is it too late for that?
Unfortunately it is too late, but I think more importantly is the plumbing that's involved at the tennis courts, because the existing plumbing is going to have to be modified for this unit.
Yeah, I also have a feeling that the existing plumbing is very old, so
Yes.
it may not be up to current code either.
It may not be. Yeah.
Having just dealt with some drainage issues at my own house where my plumbing was not up to code. All right. Good. Well, just keep us updated. I know that in terms of the grant schedule for BCF, there was just one in August, and so the next one will be, I think December-ish.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, they actually have been sending emails as we've been applying for grants recently. So we're
great.
Yeah.
Okay. You may also want to reach out to the ranch, because I know that they may have some ability to fund this as well, since it's directly benefiting the tennis courts that they use.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. While we're talking about tennis courts and people using Tom Price Park and the tennis courts, there's been a proposal and a suggestion from more than one source now that similar to I'll call it a porta potty. I know it's a trademark, but I'll use it anyway. Similar to the porta potty that's over on the Beach Road tennis courts, that's screened by lattice, that we have a similar facility at our lagoon courts. I know that there's lots of people that use the tennis courts for both tennis and pickleball, as well as a number of people who use Tom Price Park, not just the dog walkers, as well as other people who are pass by on the biking and walking path. So I have sort of walked on the tennis courts, and I wanted to put it to the committee that to the extent that we're amenable to having a facility there, that the best place might be on the far side of the tennis courts, right next to that little parking lot, for easy serviceability, as well as not being an eyesore for the residents of the Lagoon Road, but still being convenient to both the tennis courts and to Tom Price Park. So I wanted to bring it up for discussion.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. The truck needs to get to it.
Right. So, Tony, did you have pictures of
Unfortunately, not here. I don't have them ready.
That's okay.
And this is a proposed permanent solution? I mean, it's in perpetuity, it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be building a full bathroom like we have in Community Park. And if you go to the Beach Road tennis courts, they have a porta potty, and it's got a lattice fencing around it. I was actually gonna pull up on maps so I can pass my phone around, sort of what it looks like. So it really looks sort of like a lattice.
Yeah,
shed
sort of a
almost.
wooden cedar, natural wood fence around it. So if you're driving past or walking past, you might not even know that it was a toilet.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, just to add to Jenna's description, the request and the suggestion from the ranch, or the proposal, is for a porta potty, which would be a temporary structure, but for that to be presented, have a more presentable sort of facade, so that it's really just a practical solution to the problem of people needing a bathroom out there. Yeah, serviceability is very important, and that's where the parking lot would come in. That's the best place for a truck to be able to access it. Design would probably be a gate or a large door that opens towards the parking lot, and for a truck to get into the porta potty.
And we'd pour a new pad, and it looks like it'd be the larger ADU accessible units.
Looks like it. I would expect it would be the larger one, and the proposed placement, if I can pull this out again, would be right next to that right next to the parking lot, and as far away as possible away from the houses on Lagoon.
So wait, you're talking about the parking lot that you have
Mhm.
That's one I was thinking.
Yes. Yes. Let me see if I can.
And then also, just to frame a little bit the discussion, pending your thoughts and your decision on whether this is a good idea to move forward, you would then direct staff to investigate possibilities of this happening. And we would then return to the committee at the next meeting with a proposed
Right.
solution.
Right, and just to be clear, the only vote that we're asking for today is sort of the approval for Tony to go ahead and pursue, you know, bids, planning, et cetera, for this idea.
This is a long stretch without a bathroom, so I feel like I'm in support of this. My only concern would be just what the schedule is for cleaning it. And I'm sure that would be part of it. But yeah, this
Right.
seems great.
Right. And the other thing that we would need to do is to let the neighbors know. Because obviously having a porta potty truck pulling into the, you know, pulling in there and having a porta potty, you know, not quite out their front door, but, you know, close to their front doors is something that I would want the neighbors to know.
Yep, absolutely. And they would really be involved in the decision-making process. So with the planning department. So there would be definitely levels of review. Yeah.
The neighbor notification procedure. would
Yes.
apply to it.
Yep, and they would probably be maybe not a community meeting, but they would be invited maybe to a committee meeting to, you know, if they would like to be involved in the conversation.
Mhm.
And did I hear the ranch made a specific request for this, or that's the genesis?
They did. And then subsequently, one of my son's friends who plays a lot of pickleball there, also told me that there has been, alternative bathrooms sought, by younger tennis playing members of the community. So, so
They do, the boys.
yes, boys and bushes. So, yeah,
Porta potty truck on Lagoon Road is nothing compared to one on the island.
And the garbage trucks make all that noise too, so it's
Yeah.
not that big a deal.
right. And so, but anyway,
Yeah.
all right. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city and the city staff to pursue planning and pricing and community outreach, et cetera, for installing a porta potty with a lattice fencing adjacent to the parking lot behind the lagoon courts.
Mhm.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you. All right, does anyone have anything to add in terms of upgrades to recreational facilities that I've missed? No? All right. Excellent. All right, we'll go to actually my favorite subject, which is trees, vegetation. I'm being serious. Trees, vegetation, and BNUs. One of the things I want to stress is I think that the city has done a magnificent job this year with unprecedented amounts of rain and vegetation growth and growth and growth and growth. And, you know, we're now entering, I used to call it Indian summer, I'll now call it fire season. And I think that one of the things that unfortunately we've seen more and more over the past couple of years is the need to have fire remediation as well as view protection and other reasons to remediate trees and underbrush and other kinds of invasive vegetation. So I just wanted to applaud the city for their Herculean efforts this year in particular.
Well, thank you. And yep, the crew was very busy in winter. It really was, I think, unprecedented. There was one storm in particular that brought down multiple oak trees. And yeah, the big old trees that it's always sad to see those go. I can give you a quick roundup of tree work. The historic pear tree on San Rafael Avenue above Community Playground. We have had Bartlett's Tree Company looking at that, and they gave this tree a treatment about 6 months ago, and then about another month ago with I believe the last treatment was with potassium, but this is based on a soil report that they obtained in the root zone of the tree. And the aim is really to try and bolster and keep the tree going for as long as possible. They're very nervous about pruning it, but if you take a look at the tree, you'll see there's a lot of dead material in it, and at some point we will remove some of that, and maybe we would want to phase that. The concern really is that somebody cutting the tree would cut into a live branch, and that would be a significant loss to the tree. But from what I can tell, this year there are more leaves on it than last year. And I haven't been here for as long as you all, and not as familiar as you all are. But there actually was a pear on it this year. So hopefully that's a good sign.
Do you know who ate it?
Sorry, say again.
Do you know who ate the pear?
Deer. Probably the deer.
That's a
Coyote.
great question. I have no idea.
Sorry.
Blame it on the coyote.
Yeah, I mean, at our last meeting, Anne Marie retired from the board, but she was one of the main people. She did an elaborate tree survey of every single tree on public property and what it needed. And so Tony has a full roadmap from Anne Marie, and this was one of them for historic reasons.
Right, right. She had an army of people walking around. We all had different zones of the island. And it was dead and dying trees, a whole list of invasive species. And then, where views were impacted, and it was very
I'd love to
fascinating.
see that. Yeah.
Very thorough.
We have it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I can send it to
As the sole member of the tree committee, I'll ask for a copy as well.
you.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yep, other tree work that we've done, the linden tree in front of the yacht club, which our maintenance superintendent Gerhard Laufert tells me is the largest tree in Belvedere. That was also pruned, and that's always quite a big job. And we have one tree contractor that does it every year. We've had multiple city-owned trees removed this year, including at Artist View, Bayview, Corinthian Overlook, Lagoon Road, quite a few pine trees that have died and were removed. And there are 4 elm trees that we are planning on removing on Sanderford Avenue. So I can share a picture of those
Oh, yeah.
after these plums, which we're also planning on removing. So these trees have been in decline for a while now, it seems. But yeah, at this point, we're thinking that it would be best to remove them. And we're not sure if we need to replace them. This is maybe not an ideal spot for a tree. And I would value your input on that. From a maintenance perspective, it would be helpful to be able to mow over there. There's also a path that's been worn down just sort of in front of the hedge over there, because people are kind of running the gauntlet between the spiky trees on one side and the hedge on the other. So the health of the turf overall over there would probably be improved if those trees were removed and it was just left to grow as grass. Yeah, I don't know if there are any thoughts on those trees.
I mean, I would think they need to go. I mean, those trees are tricky here. The city's even had trouble with the disease. People used to take branches up to the Master Gardeners has a place you could actually visit them. You pick some up, and they're problematic over there, at least in this down here in this little sub area.
Yeah, I think they all have good places and bad places to be, and some of them are just not ideal. But
They don't look good.
The tea garden in Colgate Park.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, so we were planning on doing that in the next couple of months. And then the elm trees, are these elm trees in front of 322
Oh, yeah.
San Rafael Avenue?
So on this one, I would like to make a proposal that I note that 322 is currently on the market.
Mhm.
And so I'm not sure whether to make their listing more attractive, they would be interested in partially funding the removal of said elm tree.
That's a great suggestion.
Yes. Seems like
as well.
So it's completely dead for what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a couple.
Yes.
Yes.
So, so these are elms, and they're really remnant elms. I guess San Rafael Avenue at one point had a beautiful avenue of elm trees, and Dutch elm disease that swept through the U.S. Sort of in the last, sort of in the 80s and 90s, getting to California in the early 2000s, wiped out most of those trees, and these have been in decline but have been clinging on. But at this point, we got an arborist report. They recommended removing all of them. I wasn't sure if we would just want to remove the one that's most dead and prune the dead out of the other trees and keep them going. But the arborist pointed out that they're harboring Dutch elm disease, so it would actually be a better course of action to remove all 4 of them.
And also, given that San Rafael Avenue is sort of the main evacuation route, if we had a big storm like some of the storms that we had last year, when I know trees came down over my street, Oak Avenue, that if one of these trees fell down and blocked San Rafael Avenue, it could be very bad.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and yep, they are a hazard basically, as well as being, harboring Dutch elm.
Mhm.
Jenna, I love the cost question. Is that something Tony would follow up on, or who has the baton there?
Yes, yeah, it would be me or other staff would try and make contact. Probably call the number on the poster over there
Right.
and see if we can work with them.
And that's really one of the themes that I'm trying to sort of get through all on a number of different areas, with respect to, we're all in this together, actually. So, but some people care about some trees and some lanes more than others because they're right next to them. And to the extent that individual homeowners who will care more about a particular tree or a particular lane, are adjacent to it, asking them to bear some of the cost, I think makes sense. We live in a magnificently affluent community, and most of us can afford to help out, literally with our neighboring public space.
And there'd be similarly no plans to replace these.
Correct, yeah. Certainly not in where they're actually growing right now, because this is one of the areas where there's a gap in the sidewalk.
Right.
You're a step ahead of me. That was my next question.
Yes.
Right.
Will there be any plans, whether it's in our purview or not, to put sidewalk in there, long-term or short-term?
That's a great question, and I think it is something that's the city typically, the city doesn't have any plans to build any sidewalks. It's not in our budget, our forecast budget for the next few years. Typically, we do ask when people are doing renovations, kind of that are large enough to include the requirement for a new sidewalk. That's when we've been getting sidewalks built. But yeah, the city doesn't have any plans at this point for new sidewalks. Not to say that it couldn't happen. Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, there's some other trees that are sort of farther. I mean, because right now you walk down San Rafael Avenue, sort of walk down, and you have to cross over. You have to walk down, and you have to cross over.
Cross that dangerous intersection.
exactly, where nobody ever slows down and you must get run over by bikers. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have more sidewalks, because a lot of people do walk down that way.
yes.
As
So,
a former person pushing a stroller,
Oh, yeah.
just one notch shy of terrifying.
so,
Yeah, definitely understood. Yep. So at this point, yeah, there's no plans to plant any more trees there.
okay.
Or do a
Or
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Or a sidewalk. It's not really big enough for a sidewalk, is it?
Mm. I mean,
Everybody
I
walks on
think
the
on
street.
that side, the sidewalk doesn't start till you get further down
Mhm, I
the
know.
street.
right, right. It doesn't start until right before Leeward. Yeah, yeah.
The city
Um,
could use some sidewalks there, because
yes.
people drive really
Yeah,
fast.
they
up that
do.
street.
Just to add something that I should point out with these trees, a lot of homes have revocable licenses that they've obtained for property within the right of way, the frontage of their home.
Right.
In this case, that house doesn't have a revocable license, so the city is responsible for those trees. So in other cases where where people do have a license, revocable license, then the city would contact them and ask them to to do the work.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to push this issue too much further, but I would say for the record that I would love sidewalks on San Rafael Avenue,
Right.
if not in full, a whole plan. It's already piecemealed. And as you mentioned, it's already being piecemealed by renovations and whatnot. So filling the gaps whenever there is budget would be
Yeah.
most welcome.
I think that would be great. I really do.
Mhm.
I mean, given the number of people who walk and run and, everything, especially on the flatter side. I mean, I know a number of people who do, sort of the circle around the lagoon, of which, San Rafael Avenue is one leg of.
Yeah, you look at you go to the city maps and it's actually a route, a designated hiking route, and it's kind of like, why are we, you go there and you're like, oh, these stairways, beautiful, I'll walk around the lagoon. And you're literally telling people to walk in the street.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep. I definitely see what you're talking about, and especially with the trail along San Rafael Avenue. It's sort of, where do you go from there, kind of thing.
Yep. Thanks. I did want to note, while we're talking about trees, that the city council, thank you, Jane, increased the tree budget this year from $70,000 to $75,000. So thank you very much for the additional funds, as well as matching the budget that we had from last year for the annual vegetation maintenance, and increasing it by $1,500 for poison oak, my least favorite plant.
What does the city do with poison oak?
We have a contractor who has crew members who are immune to poison oak, and they come out and they have loppers and
pull it out by the roots. I've watched
yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah.
Glorious.
Yep. That's pretty much exactly what they need to be doing. So that's good to know. Yeah, and that's a case of just staying on top of it, with the poison oak, because I think Belvedere is in pretty good shape with poison oak, but
A lot at my house from all the rain.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, the Scotch broom also loved the rain.
yeah.
My second least favorite.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that much on public.
There used to be a giant patch sort of right by the blackberries and like right next to Tom Price Park,
Oh,
that my dog liked to run through and then rub all over me. So, yeah. Right. So Tony, I noticed we have coyote mitigation work also here on the agenda. I didn't think coyotes technically were I thought they were an animal, not a mineral or vegetable. But I'm happy for them to fall under our purview.
Yes. So where the two circles cross over is on city property with vegetation that may be coyote habitat. And there is a coyote committee that Jane Cooper knows much more than I do about. That's been working to track the coyotes in Belvedere, and we've been assisting with that. But there is some funding available that was allocated from the general fund for fire fuel reduction. And one of the thoughts there is that it may also be reducing coyote habitat on West Shore Avenue.
Yeah.
The primary focus for us is fire fuel reduction because it's a more tangible kind of goal. And we're planning on getting that work done at some point in September. It involves Tiburon Fire Department. We had the fire marshal out there. The plan is to go 30 feet up from the street and remove brushy debris, which includes a lot of invasive plants like pampas grass and Scotch broom, but also dead tree branches, leaves, and just kind of fire fuel to be removed. Depending on how much funding we have left over, we would also like to come from the top down on West Shore. There are houses along the top, and if we could get some of the vegetation up there, that would be even better.
Yeah.
So
There's also that sort of, I'll call it the extension of I think it's Belvedere Way that goes down to the very end of West Shore.
yes,
Yeah.
And there's a city property there. There's an empty lot actually that belongs to the land company, and then there's city property. So yeah, I think there's about 3 or 4 quite large city lots along that road, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
The other kind of factor there is those slopes are pretty steep, and we have
Yeah.
erosion issues and minor slides that happen after heavy rainfall. So we're going to have a geotechnical engineer also look at those to see, just to make sure that we're not removing material that's holding the slopes in place.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't use the goats now.
Right. We can't use the goats.
No.
So
Yeah, we know what's
sad.
going
Apparently
on there.
they don't
Very
survive.
sad with the
They-
goats.
Yeah.
I know. They died and they got sick.
They died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
some died.
In Tiburon, yeah.
In Tiburon, right? They were right by Avenida Miraflores
Uh-huh.
and the hippie tree. And I saw them a week ago or so, and they appear to be happily grazing, apparently not so happy.
I wonder what they ate that killed them.
Yeah.
So they don't eat pampas grass.
No.
So they're like,
They have some standards.
in there.
I feel like it would be useful to find out what's going on with the goat vegetation, if we can find out from our Tiburon friends.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll read about it in the ARC, but if there's something creepy going on with the
I know.
vegetation here.
I know, or what the kids are doing by the hippie tree.
They- We're doing blood work, so we should find out in a few weeks.
Good.
Gosh, the goats died.
So, sorry, Tony, no goods for you right now.
Some parts of West Shore too, up on the ridge, it's actually city property where there's some big trees. There.
Mhm.
Lots of land.
Yes. Yeah, and in some places it's not clear where city property begins and private property ends up there. So it is a little tricky without getting, a survey done. But PG&E, that's another kind of element. PG&E are also interested in doing some tree work at the same time. There's a couple of eucalyptus trees on there that are fairly close to their lines.
Mhm.
So if we can get them out there, we might be able to get some tree work done as well.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
Jean, I think this might be a good time to bring up the view easements, and, any possible solutions to the view easement violations on West Shore.
We've tried this.
I know. I just,
Yeah, if you walk along West Shore, not the first little pull out, but the next 3,
Mhm,
there are deeded easements that cover the houses on both sides.
mhm.
The
Of
city
the
has
bay.
never enforced the one on, if you're looking at the right side, but they kind of have enforced the other two. One house has a fence that's like 3.5 feet, so that's what it's supposed to look like. And the next one up has a privet hedge, which I think planning allowed them to put in, which is ridiculous, because privets grow to be, 20 feet high. And I was walking there on Sunday with friends, and so they've stopped pruning this hedge. I sent you a picture, but I didn't have my camera with me Sunday because then I would watch and.
It doesn't take pictures. I
So
don't
I don't
either.
have, I used to have Kathy stand in front of it. and I'd take pictures.
Oh, wow.
Twice her height. But anyway, so that hedge needs to be clipped.
Mhm.
And then the third one up, or this is going south. The one that's to your left as you're looking at it. At one point, they had a building project going.
Right.
Mhm.
Planning was sort of keeping a bit of an eye on them, but there's an oak tree that's on their property that has a big branch, which is within another year is gonna block the view. So basically, on the one, the privet should be trimmed down to 3 feet, and on the other one, the lower branch, usually with oaks, it's better to just take the whole branch
Right.
off, and then it'll make a view window under the other branches.
Is 3 feet the requirement?
I think the fence is 3.5, so I'm just assuming that the planning department was always very hazy on what the requirements were and where they were, et cetera.
Right, but the idea is,
I'm assuming that since the fence is 3.5, somebody must have figured out amount.
right, because the idea is you're supposed to be able to walk down West Shore and between the houses in 3 or 4 different places, you're supposed to be able to actually see the water and see
Right.
Sausalito and all that. And a number of those houses are actually on ground lease land. And so the view easements were granted when the houses were,
I think it's part of this.
yeah, exactly. The
But
subdivision.
it hasn't been enforced, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a whole survey and pictures and the whole thing,
Yep.
and it sort of died. Well, not the plants, just.
Yeah, our big survey, but it seems like that's a planning commission, planning department enforcement issue for those two.
Yep, so usually private property, anything on private property is managed and sort of enforced by the planning and building department. Yeah,
So maybe you could pass on to them those 2 items.
yes.
I mean, the bigger pictures, start with this. This is
Right.
small and easy.
Right.
The
Well,
other
seems
seems
easy.
Well,
Yeah.
some people have even built into that area,
Right.
part of their house, so they got through, they got that through.
The ones to the right have all kinds of fences, hedges.
But you don't actually even know it's a view easement.
Well, you can peek through the left a little bit.
Is there any signage to denote this is a nice place to stop and have a look?
No.
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 Don't know if we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, we probably should commend the people with the low fence, because that's the only one you can see.
I mean, it could be cute. I mean, they probably wouldn't want this, but to have a sign, this is like designated view spot number 1, designated view spot number 2. And just stick it in the
It-
sidewalk.
Pull it up before you could get down the street.
I'm sure we could put it in securely.
Oh.
Some cement or something, but yeah.
Yeah, it's on a view map, the city's view map that they sent to Tony.
Yep.
With the street numbers measured on it, but you see these little orange slots and.
Yeah.
Code is open space.
When we were taking pictures, people were asking, what are you taking a picture of my property for? And I said, well, this is a view easement. You know,
Do we know how we could find out the actual requirement? Or if that exists?
I mean, I think we'd have to look at the subdivision deeds, because that would have it on there. I mean, it may just have it on there in terms of width, but not in terms of
Right,
height.
right,
Does that make sense?
right.
I would imagine there's something in city code, there'd be an ordinance Yeah, but I wouldn't know where to find it.
That specific one isn't in the, I mean, I exhaustively went through all the codes when we did our report. And that wasn't in there. I don't know if you just go to the planning department files for those specific addresses and look in them, if somewhere those people have done projects, you'll see the original easements that are there. The planning department should know about easements.
Yep, it sounds like the planning department.
I mean, that might be easier than going to the
They actually might be more familiar than we are with this, with the, with these type of rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and especially because I think that the low fence that you're talking about for the one that looks like a view easement, I think that was put in fairly recently,
Mhm.
that wasn't that long.
like within 5 years
In
or
the
so.
history of Belvedere.
In the history of Belvedere, fairly recently. right. Um,
But yep, so I can definitely get in touch with the planning department and forward them those photos.
Yeah, I copied them on my memo to you, so I don't know if that did any good, but I sent it to Rebecca and then planning director.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Is your microphone on?
Sorry. I
That's okay.
copied our current planning director on the memo that I sent, the
Ah,
email
right,
that I
okay.
sent to you, which has attached the 2 photos.
Great.
And it also has a reference to our view memo and the pages of the view memo that these easements are
Yes.
discussed on. And
Okay.
so I copied that to Rebecca, who's,
Rebecca Markham. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I didn't notice that. So
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
okay.
Do we have Rebecca again? We have
Yes.
Rebecca's back?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yep. As the planning director.
yes.
I
She's
am
the
so happy. Thank you.
I mean, Kathy and I did this huge project at the request of the former planning director. Because when we went and talked to her first, she said, oh, well, we need more. We need pictures. We need photos. We need,
Mhm.
and I mean, I had all these sites from the general plan.
They spent-
Nothing happened.
And it included all the hedges that are blocking views that
Yes.
they're, higher than 6 feet.
Yes.
Yeah, the hedges on the streets are supposed to not be higher than 6 feet. And there are a lot that are 20.
Yeah.
First, some history on this, anyway. It's a long story.
The view easements are the low hanging fruit in terms of,
Yeah, yeah.
view obstructions.
Right.
Are there any easements on the lagoon? Because I feel like if you're, no, because they're packed in.
Yeah, that's too bad.
You wouldn't know the lagoon's there unless you ever went up.
No, the only place you can see the lagoon is when you're walking along San Rafael Avenue, that one place
Right.
where the machinery is. That's
Yeah,
it.
they have the gate, the
Yeah.
water gate.
The people are remodeling next door to where I live, and they, one day she was just visiting, she was visiting the people next door to her house that was being constructed. And these 2 guys with paddle boards came through the side gate, and she said, excuse me, you can't be here. And they said, well, it's water. Don't we have access to water? And she said, no, it's private property. So it's almost like people just don't know.
Mhm. All right. All right. Do we have anything else on trees, vegetation? et cetera?
No, I
Like
mean, Tony did
coyotes?
a nice job on
Mhm.
Centennial Park. That was one of the
Oh, yeah.
issues with the trees there.
Oh, yes.
And the city's been maintaining the views at
Oh, good. I have to go over there.
Artist View,
Mhm.
which is a big job.
It was a big job. There was a lot of dead wood there.
So thank you. Those are good.
Thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. And yeah, actually, they've just finished doing some fire fuel reduction out there. So yeah, I think over the last few years, it's sort of incrementally improved quite a bit.
And I noticed the city also tops the sort of shrub oaks that grow along Pine, which is that little connector.
Mhm.
So that if you're coming down like off of Golden Gate, you get
Right,
this nice,
yeah.
great view.
Yeah, now you have this beautiful view as you're coming down the slope here, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's nice too.
It's very nice. Yeah.
I
Oh,
noticed these things.
It's over the lava house.
I'll pass your thanks on to the crew.
Thank you. All right, lanes. So, Tony, can you give us an update on Park Lane project and let Charlie know what he's in for?
This is why maybe it was better in the beginning that the subcommittees were chosen.
No, okay. Wonderful.
So Park Lane is a lane on what goes from Belvedere Avenue up to Golden Gates Avenue.
Right, the very end of Golden Gate Avenue where there's the circle.
Down, yeah, okay.
Down.
And there's a house being built next to it?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, exactly. And,
Yep.
and the way that we have the opportunity to do something with Park Lane really is because there was a land swap between the city and the house that's, and the owners of the house that's being built, where we got a small triangle of land that's adjacent to the stairs.
Mhm.
And
Near the bottom.
yes,
sorry.
yes, near the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
And the committee has previously approved a plan to have the stairs be concrete and to have a small seating area, but basically a bench with some footing and sort of a nice place to sit. If you look over the house that's that's sort of right where Belvedere Avenue ends and Beach Avenue begins, there's this beautiful Monterey pine.
Hmm.
And sort of
Oh, yeah.
from that vantage, you can see sort of right over the Monterey Pine to the Golden Gate Bridge and Sausalito. It's really,
Need to do a little pruning, but it's there.
all right, well, everything needs a little pruning.
So thank you for that very good description. And so that's the location of a lane improvement that was proposed a couple of years now, I believe, and that we have a design for some new steps. Right now, most of that lane as you come down from Golden Gate Avenue is concrete steps. At the very bottom, maybe the last 30 feet or so is wood. It's not all in the best shape. We've done some repairs to make it kind of hold up a little better. But the proposal is to continue the concrete stairs all the way down to the road and to build a landing with a bench and a view next to the stairs. There's been a few structural issues with this. We had a conceptual design by an architect, which was great. And then we discovered all sorts of things like, building 30-foot high concrete structures on slopes. You need to have quite a bit of engineering oversight. And there is a PG&E, very big PG&E conduit that runs down those stairs that I believe was installed as part of an undergrounding project at some point. So it's quite a significant PG&E facility. The design as it is has a concrete bench, a very simple concrete bench that extends and is also a retaining wall, but it extends from the stairs and the stairway onto the landing and across the landing. The problem right now is that that would cover this conduit, this PG&E conduit. And we wouldn't be able to put any footings in underneath it. So this is the kind of thing that structural engineers do, and they're happy to do it for us, as well as provide guidelines for footings for the stairs and rebar detail, this kind of thing, and work with the geotechnical engineer for this stuff. What we are doing first, though, is having the CEQA, having the sites analyzed for any CEQA complications. So we've done an analysis with a CEQA consultant that the city has
What
worked
is CEQA?
with. CEQA is the California Environmental Quality Act.
Yes.
And what this does is enforces environmental review on any new projects that are happening. So usually they're substantial projects, and the Act lists all sorts of exemptions. So after analysis, our consultant believes that this project would be exempt from CEQA. It would be categorically exempt for a number of reasons. One of which is that this is an alteration to an existing facility, and there would be no significant change in use of the facility. So we are going to the Planning Commission on September the 19th, and we will be presenting these plans to them for review and for CEQA determination, I guess. And after that approval is received, then we'll move forward with getting structural engineers to provide structural plans and then go out and get bids for the work.
Tony, I want to highlight that we've gotten some letters from some of the neighbors relating Park Lane. One of them was sent over to us by Christina today. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But he's sent other letters. So, and one of the new issues that he addressed in the letter that we got today was about fires, and how this project might either exacerbate fire risk or hamper any kind of evacuation down the Park Lane stairs, et cetera. So I would like to also include having the either the Southern Marin, fire department basically do an analysis. I am not an environmental consultant, but I do think that having wooden stairs replaced with cement woods does seem like a lessening of fire risk.
Is the concern there's a fire risk during construction or once the stairs are in place?
No, I believe it's as to the project as completed. So I think that would be a good thing to do.
Yes, I agree, and yep, I think that would be a good thing to do in any case. Yep.
Yeah, because isn't he worried about kids going down there and building fires and then having it all get away because he lives next door? Is that one
He
of the things?
doesn't live next door.
He doesn't?
No, he lives at the end of Blanding.
Right, that's sort of across the street and down a bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, the very, we're not talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, not our sphere.
Okay.
He does live next to our sphere, but not Park Lane.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's small compared to the places we could sit if we wanted to, like Centennial Park.
Right. I mean, it's basically going to be a bench on a lane. So.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I think the overall concern, if I understand the comment, is that it may become an attractive nuisance, and that fire would be the sort of the biggest risk associated with that. Yeah, so we can, yep, I 100% agree that we should get the fire department to look at that.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Will the current plans be attached to I assume they will, to the planning committee agenda?
Yes, yeah.
I have some plans here and I don't know if they're current. L-21 is the Kirby one.
Right, the Kirby one is the one that we approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and Charlie, as the subcommittee member, yeah, I can definitely share the plans with you and kind of bring you up to speed with that, as well as the date of the planning commission meeting and the time and
Okay.
so on. Yeah,
Great. Thank you, Tony.
yeah, and that's where we are with that. In terms of funding for that, that was something that I wanted to add to the item that's later on in the agenda of projects for consideration for BCF grant application for discussion. That maybe, this further down the line, but it would be quite a big funding request. But that just, yeah, I just wanted to mention that our
Right.
current funding, I think, is in the 30 something
Yep.
thousand.
Yeah, so
dollars.
we have $38,623 of the funds that were allocated for the project in the 2022-2023 budget that are getting rolled over to this current year budget. And then no additional funds have been allocated for the project, either for this year or for future years. But we do have, just sort of in general, a lane design and engineering budget, which is 20,000 for the current budget. And given that the only lane design projects we have in flight right now are Park Lane and then the stairs for the top of Centennial Park, I think that that's probably a good use of those funds as well.
Yes, yeah, and to give you an idea, engineering costs, sort of do add up. The structural engineering proposal that we received was for $8,000 something dollars, and that doesn't include geotechnical consulting and other surveys, and
Right.
most of that has been completed. But yeah, just to give you an idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for moving it along.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's great.
I know.
Yeah, you're welcome. I really hope we can get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any, earlier you mentioned the precedent that you ask homeowners to pay for sidewalks in front of their homes during large renovations. Is there any precedent for doing the same with lanes?
Yes, and I
Yes.
believe Jenna Watson can speak to that.
Yes. So one of the things that I'll still call it our new charter, a pretty newish charter, gave this committee the ability to work with the planning department and with the city staff when there's proposals for home renovations that are adjacent to lanes. Not only giving our committee the ability to review those plans and make sure that they're not impinging upon the lane in any way, but to the extent that they're doing concrete work right next to a lane that needs to be repaired, having as a condition to the approval by the planning department, having the remediation, of the lane be part of the condition. So.
And what about non-existent lanes?
We haven't crossed that bridge. Our newest lane, that I like to think of this as the stairs of death, the Golden Gate. Yeah, see, you knew exactly what I was talking about. I know that the adjacent homeowner was doing renovations at the time, and I know was somewhat involved, but that was before my time on the committee.
You mean the Park Lane one?
The Golden Gate Lane, big lane. Mhm.
Yeah, that was before we had this official.
That was right. It was,
thing where we could, where
Right.
the planning department is supposed to contact general administration.
Do we know Lower Woodwardia? Was that part of the discussion? Because I know there's construction there, and I'm curious what the state of that lane is.
I
If that's
think-
going to be
I think
available or
I-
not.
I think that is on our list, Tony.
That doesn't help get all the way to the water.
I'm not
the-
sure.
That one goes down to a private or a leased pier, I believe.
Yes.
Goes between two
No,
homes.
that's not the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's.
Yeah, public, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I am curious about that because I know there's home construction there. I think at what was Lower Woodwardia,
All right.
and I'm not sure. It looks like there's stairs going down, but I can't tell if they're going to be.
Yep, I can comment briefly on that, actually. Yeah, that was, so I think a while back now, there was an agreement with the city to improve the stairs, not all the way down to the city property on the beach, but a significant length of that easement. Yeah, and with a handrail, and
Okay.
I believe it's all being paid for by the homeowner.
Wow,
So,
okay, that's
yeah.
great.
And I think what happened, if I remember it right, is that originally the top section of the stairs curved partially over private property.
Right.
In the old house, and I think that was their access.
For access,
So
right.
they agreed to put it all on the lane easement. they didn't agree. to finish it off. So we're waiting for-
I did not properly prepare for childcare for this evening, and my wife is traveling.
Okay.
So I actually do need to run right now.
Right.
But I will follow up via minutes.
Great.
But thank you all so much. I'm so sorry. I have some other questions and stuff, but maybe I can just email you. Or maybe Tony, I can email you a question. One is just high level. If we notice something seems like slightly dangerous, like in the park right over here, I was leaning against this fence and the fence just like kind of fell over.
On the ramp.
On the ramp. What do I do?
That's good to know about. Yeah, you please do.
Okay.
Call me
That was
or
my main
email
priority.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Go out here and go right and kind of lean against the fence. We're very near where we're gonna put the green bins.
Mhm.
Okay.
Fence
The
lean-
the new wooden fence, the new around the playground? Yeah.
It's right at, if you take the crosswalk,
Yep. Oh, yes, right. Yep. So
Yes.
that and the same contractor that's doing
Pagoda.
the bench and Pagoda Lane will also be working on that fence
Oh,
as,
great.
while
And-
they're in town.
And is this
Yeah.
is there a 311 number that I should be telling my pals about? Like if they encounter potholes or stuff in the parks that they feel like
No,
it's broken or dangerous?
There may be, Christina might be the person to ask about. Do you know, is there a form on the website for?
We are not allowed to tell what it's gonna look like, but we're almost finished with the grade.
Okay.
There will be somewhere, give feedback and I have in it. Takes you. We actually have a coyote hotline. And at some point, is that phone number could be reported. So if someone saw a pothole or a fence was falling, leaned on it, the hotline.
That would be great. Just eliminating hurdles from like, okay, I'll go on the website and do it later, and then you'll forget. Yeah.
My unofficial way is I take a picture
Now I have Tony's email, so I got to get his text next. Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to working with y'all. Now I got to run up some of those lanes.
Jenna, I had a question. I don't know if there's a specific time. I was going to do public comment after the end of the open comments, which. I just had a question about when you do a lane like Golden Gate. Libraries. Is landscaping included in the upgraded lane? Is there supposed to be at some point?
The short answer is yes.
Yep. So on Park Lane, there is some landscaping included in the design. And I think it's very, very simple and very basic because of lack of, irrigation. And yeah, but yes, on Park Lane there is, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, and there's spaces, like if you're going down Golden Gate Lane, there's spaces. There's spaces for landscaping, but it hasn't been. No.
A lot of things were delayed pending what PG&E was gonna do with its poles and wires.
Mhm.
Sorry. A lot of things were postponed because waiting for PG&E to figure out what it's gonna do with the pole and wire that were on Golden Gate Lane.
Yeah, and then it also went over budget.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there are no plans for any landscaping on Golden Gate, but I can look into that.
Make donations for landscaping. Not for plants, but maybe the money to buy.
Possibly.
So what a person that uses it every day.
He must be, he must be in great shape.
I don't know if that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing I would want to say yes. I mean, in general, from what I've seen in the lanes, you know, each homeowner takes care of their frontage differently. And there isn't really a lane that I can think of where the city is maintaining landscaping along there. It's sort of vegetation, but it's not to say that it can't be done. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's worth discussing for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything, I think we're still technically on Park Lane, another lanes, but Tony, do you have an update on the pagoda railing and any other, and other lane repairs?
Yes. So pagoda railing will be, the work on that is being done by the same contractor that's doing the bench with the plaque. So as soon as they're finished with that project, they'll be moving. There's another small project here at City Hall, and then they'll be doing that. And then they'll also be doing the railing that Charlie was just talking about. So they're going to be fairly busy, but one of their projects is Pagoda Lane, and they'll be replacing the wooden railing along the lower section of that lane. And the funding from that, half of the funding from that is coming from the BCF. So that will be happening, and it took a little while to get the contractor over here, but I think now that he's here, we're not going to let him escape without doing a bunch of work. And the other lane where work is happening is Upper Cedar Lane, where there was a temporary wooden handrail on there.
Temporary.
Yeah.
It's a really janky railing. I don't know if you. It is.
Yeah. So yep. So we again applied to the BCF for help with funding, and we have a contractor lined up, just working on getting the contract together for him to go ahead and install a metal handrail on there.
That would be great.
Right.
I mean, it looks like the city must have ran out of money, because the steps, they have holes in them.
Yes. Yep. And right. And I believe that was actually also a project done by a neighbor. So they installed the steps, but I guess the agreement didn't extend as far as a handrail. And so the city put in a temporary one, and yeah, it's taken a little while, but now we're putting in a metal handrail.
Mhm. And just you know, the metal handrail will match the metal handrail that's elsewhere on the lane, so it will actually, you know, be able to flow, so that when you're going down it, your hand doesn't have to, you know. So it'll be good. All right, great. And then I also wanted to highlight that you're also going to be repairing the Harry B. Allen steps that go down to the beach, and and you got private funding for that?
Yes, there was a donation for the repairs of that. The complication there is that it's that's at the bottom of a slope that is eroding. And so we had a geotechnical engineer look at it, and he had a couple of recommendations, one of which was to shore up the entire slope, which is quite a big project. And yeah, and then the other one was to just replace the existing structure as it is with a new concrete footing in there. That is more, it's significantly more than the donation amount, but that donation definitely helps. So I think it was for $49,000 or $59,000. So yeah, we are also working on a way to make that happen.
Yeah, because we had that repair as one of our high priorities. So I was very happy to see in the budget that we got a private donation to help with that.
Yeah, yeah, huge help.
All right. All right, am I missing any of the material lane repairs, restorations, et cetera?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, great. All right, so at this point, before we get to the priorities report update, which I think should probably technically be new business, I wanted to ask if there was any public comment. Any public comment from
Thank
anyone in the
you.
room?
And
Is there anyone on the line, Christina?
No, there's not.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So I think. Hmm? Yeah.
So you already mentioned Klaus's letter.
Yes, yes. So Nick, I think you're the only one who hasn't gone through the priorities report. So under the newish charter, our committee makes 2 reports per year to the city council. One is in January, which is basically sort of a look at all the stuff we did over the past year report, and then the other one is mid-year in August, although we're a little bit late, which basically highlights the things that we've actually gotten accomplished, and also setting forth our priorities for the year. So I think you should have gotten from Christina a draft, which is largely on the shoulders of Jean's and Kathy's work from last year that I nearly updated. And so I wanted. It's lovely. It's a beautiful template. Yeah. I know. So I wanted to briefly sort of walk through. We are not presenting this to the city council until, I believe, the October meeting. Jane, is that correct? The October meeting?
I can confirm that,
Okay,
yeah, that it will be the October meeting, yep.
okay. Yeah,
Yes.
the agenda's already
Right.
out from Monday's meeting, and
Yep.
happily we're not on it. So I wanted you to be able to review and comment at your leisure, but I did want to walk through a couple of things, many of which we've already talked about in this meeting. Our priorities are set forth in the beginning. You'll see that other than the addition of the Lagoon Tennis Courts and Tom Price Park, that they are pretty much identical to what we did last year, with a couple of changes in orientation. The high priority items have remained the same, which is the repair of the lanes and we have a list of the high priority and medium priority. I view the lanes as one of the jewels of Belvedere. Not only are they great to walk down and walk around, but it means that we're not walking in the street. So, and also they're one of the things that make our community unique. Mill Valley likes to say they have lanes too, but ours are better. So true. So, and then also high priority is dead and dying trees on public and private land. We've already talked about the 2020 trees, views, and vegetation survey that was spearheaded by then committee member Walker. And one of the things that I can really commend Tony and his team for is, and I think I said this earlier in the meeting too, is just the amount of work that's been done to really try to clean up some of the dead and dying vegetation, trees, et cetera. I have neighbors who slipped notes into my mailbox telling me of dead trees, and by and large they're getting taken care of one by one. So we have We have some highlights on work that's been done. Along with that is vegetation and tree management, and then scenic view obstructions. All of this really just has to do with keeping abreast of vegetation growth and making sure that, for a multitude of reasons that we're encouraging homeowners to take care of their trees and vegetation, and we are taking care of it on public land. Yeah.
I'm
Go for
sorry to interrupt, but I'm getting confused because I haven't looked back at it, whether this September one is the one on what we've done
Oh, this,
or what we're gonna do, because the first line says report on status of measures taken. And I can't remember now the report that we do at this time.
this is priorities, but under the charter,
I
both
mean,
of,
they're both priorities,
Yeah.
but one is, this is what we want you to do this fiscal year.
right,
And one is, this is what we've been doing.
right. So this is the one that says this is what we've done in the first half of the year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was only asking because I'm wondering if we need to add in what Tony talked about on the trees.
Yeah, I've been making
I could
notes.
see you making lots of
Yes.
notes. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't remember
No,
which
and
was which anymore.
yeah. Yeah, and also, and Park Lane needs to be updated as well, just to make it clear that we've had the CEQA analysis done and that it's being submitted to the Planning Commission.
It's gonna go to the city council. Tony said, right? Is it going to the city council? or the
No,
planning-
Planning Commission.
Planning commission, sorry. Excuse me.
Who then I assume will make a recommendation one way or the other. No? I wouldn't remember, other than the fact that I wrote it down. All right. So one of the things that I've moved up is the effects of private projects on public lands. You know, over the last year, since our committee has been empowered to have more visibility into private projects and more, and I won't say approval rights, but more say so in what right input. Thank you. I think it's really been working well, and I think it's given the homeowners a greater feeling of ownership over the lanes and public space that they're adjacent to, and it's also made sure that, especially with respect to like the shoreline and another lanes, that projects aren't happening that will destroy the ability of the public to use our public spaces. So
That was the best part of the new.
yes. It does make our 4 meetings a lot longer. So, right. And then I moved the Lanes Initiative, which is the development of new lanes, and the expansion of lanes, down to the very bottom of high priority. There's no current funding for for any new lanes, even though there are lane easements that are not used right now. And then Park Lane I have as a medium priority item, just because it seems to be sort of progressing along. I didn't know whether we wanted to raise that up.
I think progress doesn't necessitate downgrading it. If that's the only reason, it should remain high priority until it's done.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay, great. And like I said, we have the $38,000 that rolled over from last year, plus the $20,000 for general lane design and engineering, which is also, needs to be used for Centennial Park. So for Centennial Park, we have $45,000, which was in last year's budget, which is getting rolled over. So. Um,
For the what, sorry?
If the stair replacement is not really on the radar right now, maybe the funding at Centennial could be considered for some more view work on Centennial.
I think, so my understanding of our priority for lanes, and this is probably a good moment to bring it up, is after we're done with Park Lane, we're going to move on to Centennial Park
Right.
and tackle that, the stair replacement over there and the platform at the top.
mhm.
So we could we could probably do both. We could still, kind of,
No, forget what I said. We should do some more planning for the stair replacement.
yeah. And I think maintaining the views and enhancing the views from there is still important. So I think we can still do that too.
Right. And in this year, you did a lot of tree work and pruning. Yeah, the pittosporum hedge that is not a hedge is a mere shadow of its old self. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's much better. They can take a lot of pruning.
Mhm. So, all right. And then the item that I added under low priority items was the tennis courts in Tom Price Park, which had not been on here last year. And that's really just because this year there's been a number of requests related to Tom Price Park and the tennis courts. And so I wanted to make sure that our collective work is being reflected in what we've done.
That's where they play pickleball, right?
That's where they play pickleball. Yes.
And now it's a porta john.
Better than a bush.
Not to go back, maybe I'm getting out of my lane, pun intended, but with respect to the restrooms, isn't the boathouse right there, does that have restrooms? I mean, could there be some synthesis?
It has one bathroom, but in order to get into the boathouse, you need to be a member of the BSS
Yeah.
and have a key.
Well, I'm just curious, it's not that big of a community and I don't know what the expenditure would be, but there could be a symbiotic relationship there. Have we asked?
I don't think we have asked. Yeah, it's always locked.
Well, I'm just
I-
curious if we could make it, give the ranch a key and that solves 90% of the problem. For cheaper and potentially less neighbor. If I lived across the street from a porta potty, I'd be kind of irritated. Irrespective of any lattice work, and I don't, but I'm conscious of that. And I'm wondering if that's an underutilized resource. The association there could get half the funds of maintenance and just give the ranch a key. Easier said than done, but it's something I'm willing to help you and just trying to think of, that's right there. And it's a plumbed restroom, would be better for kids, easier to maintain.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
that's a great idea too.
I think
Yeah.
It's not a separate.
Yeah, right, it's inside the building. I don't think the bathroom is separate, when I've gone there, the bathroom's not been separately locked.
But you do need the key.
But you need the key for the gate, yeah, right, right, the gate into the boatyard.
Just an idea,
Mhm.
worth a question,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know,
Yeah,
not to derail And we did already vote, and I think that they should be dual tracked,
Mhm.
to look at optionality there.
Yep, I think it's a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
if it would meet the same, goal.
Need and be
then-
cheaper and.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of the porta potty is not just for the ranch kids, but also for
Yeah.
other users of the park.
Completely agree. I'm just
Right,
curious
and-
if it's like, if you solve 90% of the problem for 10% of the cost.
Yeah.
And I would envision, I don't know, we should investigate, but there'd be less resistance to that from the homeowners in that area. But again, I don't know.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth,
Yep. And I believe that the guy who takes care of the boatyard is named Peter.
Yep.
but-
yep, Peter Rupert. Yeah. Although, yeah, yep, I think he's sort of, he does maintenance, but there is, an association.
Yes.
That I guess would be,
Yes.
the sort of the decision maker. Yeah, but I mean, we could be in touch and figure out how to approach them. Maybe discuss with the ranch if this is a viable option for them.
Yeah, and maybe it's a no, but
Right.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't
worth
hurt to
a thought.
ask.
Yeah. And if there was money being spent on maintaining a porta potty, then, if that money was being given to,
Right,
different,
right.
yep.
Great. Okay. All right, so if committee members could let me know your comments, thoughts, et cetera, on the report, at your leisure.
I'll take a look. I do, just to reiterate, think moving up Park Lane to the high part
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a great idea.
Yep, I got
Yeah.
that, I got that one. And then there's a number of updates that came out of this meeting that I'm gonna need to make as well. All right. Great. Okay. All right, moving on to new business. Projects for consideration for BCF grant application. As I am on the BCF board, I'm not going to be participating in this part of the discussion. So
All right,
letting
fair enough.
everyone know.
Yep. Yeah, so this is really just a quick discussion on what might be suitable projects for us to apply for funding for. And this report that the committee provides really is good for giving direction for priorities when we're asking for funding. So we can refer to the report. But there are, specific projects that aren't always listed on the report. And so this is just really a place for us to discuss some possible ideas. And on the agenda, we have Lower Cedar Lane handrail or Lower Woodland Lane handrail, San Rafael Avenue landscape, and that's so along the seawall on San Rafael Avenue. I don't think, since that landscape was installed, I don't think there's ever been any kind of sort of a renovation or a refreshing of the plant materials along in that landscape. So, there may be an opportunity to freshen it up a little bit with some funding. And the city does have some funding allocated to make repairs to the pathway along there, the DG pathway, because as you probably know, in winter it gets pretty sloshy in parts. So the city has allocated $30,000 to making repairs along the pathway to make it more stable in winter. And perhaps that if the BCF would like to contribute to also improve the landscaping, we could have a bigger project, a bigger improvement project out there.
With respect to the pathway, I know that there's a lot of kids that ride their bikes on the pathway during school time. I'm very supportive of kids riding their bikes to school. And so I want them to not be in the road, since we don't have a bike lane on San Rafael Avenue. Has there been any thought to having sort of I'll say like a larger gauge of gravel, like the one step up from DG, just because DG does get really muddy?
There hasn't really been, and only because that was the original design
Right.
that was, sort of, I guess, discussed and approved, and I think the feel of DG is, it's a more natural feeling surface to walk on and with landscaping around it. So I think if, if paving was an alternative, but I think that would, that was the reason for something like DG.
Mhm.
The question of, whether there might be something more, something that's still a sort of natural feeling or earthy, but more stable for kids on bikes. That's a good question. Something that, yeah, I could kind of look at and see if there are any contractors who might have suggestions about it. What we are planning to do is have the contractor use resin in the DG,
Oh, yeah.
which would make it more.
That's great.
Yeah,
It's a sticky-
exactly.
Yeah, it'll stick better and flow less.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and stay in place. And that doesn't always work, because DG, I mean, a lot depends on the underlying drainage conditions. If it's a puddle and people are always cycling through it, then it's just never going to work. But yeah, I think the idea with the resin is to make it a bit more stable for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the idea of the Centerville Avenue landscaping coinciding with that work. I think it's probably our highest use area, trail. There's a lot of the original irrigation lines that are exposed, just barren areas, dead bushes. I think it could use a revamp, and I think that'd be worth pursuing.
Great. Yeah. I noted. Yeah. So I think, yeah, what we'll do is see if we can get some numbers together for the next round of BCF grant, the next grant cycle with them. But there's also Park Lane steps on there. And I think that is probably at some point in the future that we have an idea of what that's going to cost and what we might need to ask for. But I would say that the other items on here, the lower Cedar Lane handrail and the lower Woodland Lane handrail are probably, judging from our last two grant cycles, and they've both received funding for lane improvements. I would say that we'll definitely aim for something like this as well, regardless of, sort of some of the bigger projects like San Rafael Avenue.
Right, I wanted to highlight that for the two BCF grants for lane improvements, the cost was split between the city and the BCF, with each paying, 50%.
Yep, sort of a matching fund sort of arrangement. Yeah. Yeah, but I guess I just wanted to see if there were any other thoughts on any other projects or sites that we might be able to look at. Right.
I like that list.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yep. In that case, I think we're.
Tony, did you want to take a vote from the other quorum in terms of which items to pursue grants in the BCF in future funding?
Yeah,
the
we could do that
grant
if
cycles?
there's one of these that we should pursue next. So one thing to add to this would be also the bottle filler at the tennis courts. Yes, installation of the bottle filler.
Oh. What about the the portable toilets? They probably don't want their name on that.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure because I wouldn't want to rule anything out by, you know, sort of voting on any one of these. But I guess we could maybe have an order of priority, and I can suggest an order of priority if and see if committee agrees with that. So the first priority would be San Rafael Avenue landscape, followed by the bottle filler. I'm just going to put that in there, and you know, please let me know if we think we should change it. Followed by these smaller lane improvements, and then followed by Park Lane steps.
That sounds like in my opinion, a great list.
All right. Should we have a motion to approve that list or that order of priority? Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll move. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for getting us focused there.
All right. So I think that concludes our set agenda. And it's now the time for the open forum, which is an opportunity for any citizen to briefly address our committee on any matter that doesn't appear in the agenda. Do we have anyone here who wishes to address the committee? Christina, do we have anyone on the line?
We do not.
All right, great. All right, then if there's no further business to discuss, I would move to adjourn our meeting.
All you really have to do is hit the gavel.